Hey guys, this is Instructor Joe. So today I'm going to go over how to properly clear your firearm. So what I mean by properly clear your firearm, how to make your firearm safe, what to do when you possibly find one, what to do when you're checking one out, basically. It's like a go-to and default setting of how you want to approach handling a firearm, basically. So right now I got a lot of samples right here. Got the semi-automatics and I got the revolvers and old type of revolvers. So I'm gonna go over the modern ones first and get into the more intricate ones later. First one that I'll go over is probably the 1911. So chamber's clear. So this is my 1911 Springfield TRP operator. So when you approach a gun, it's probably gonna have a magazine inside of it, right? Cool. You don't know if it's loaded or not. First thing you want to do, you want to release the magazine. Now I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna do this left-handed. So release the magazine, and then you're gonna pull back on the slide. So most semi-automatic firearms, it's gonna have a slide catch right here. It's 1911. You need to push up on that slide lock and pull back on the slide at the same time. Now, if you can't do that, the easiest thing to do is keep your eye where the chamber is. You're gonna pull back on the slide and make sure that there's nothing inside of it, and let go. The main thing is you wanna make sure that the chamber is clear, that there's nothing inside of it. There's no brass or anything. You can safely decock a 1911 by pinching the hammer, squeezing the trigger, and slowly letting the hammer go to the front. So there's 1911. Next, I have my Glock. So my Glock 34, chamber's empty. So same concept. Say you have a magazine inside of it. You don't know if it's loaded or not. So you always want to release the magazine first. You can push up on the slide lock. We'll pull them back on the side at the same time. Lock it to the rear. Or, as I said, keep your eye where the chamber is. Pull back on the slide. Make sure it's empty. Now, traditionally, Glock armorers will teach you to rack the slide 3 times. So, you want to empty your magazine, rack it 3 to 4 times, and then lock it to the rear. Make sure it's empty. So that's with the Glock. So the Glock, there's no hammer to it. So to safely decock, make sure it's empty, and squeeze the trigger, and it's safely decocked. Put that in your safe, lockbox, what have you. Next, we have the Millennial gun. So, with Millennial gun, I mean the CZ series. Model 75, this is my SP01. So, like a 1911, it has a hammer to it. This has a double single action trigger. I'll go over that in another video. So say we have an empty magazine. So you notice I'm right-handed. I switch this over to the left-hand side. So I'm gonna just switch this over. So right-handed. So what I do is release the magazine. Cool. Then I lock the slide to the rear. What you want to do, push up with your thumb, pull back on the slide. It'll lock it to the rear. Or if you wanted to do the like the Glock way, rack it 3 times, then lock it to the rear. Make sure it's empty. Cool. So I'm gonna stop right here for a little bit. I'm gonna go over a little pet peeve that I have. So you notice most guns slide lock right here. A lot of people, what they do when they load their magazine into the gun, they always go to release the slide with the slide lock. I'm not putting anybody out there, but if you notice, I call this a slide lock. Not necessarily a release, even though you can release a slide like that. To release a slide, you don't need to go to a slide lock. A lot of people with the smaller guns like the Shield, they tend to think that the gun's too hard for them to release a slide because they're going on that slide lock. But no, it's pretty simple. When you get a gun, release the magazine, make sure it's clear. Cool. Then to release the slide, all you have to do, my finger's nowhere near that slide lock, you just pull back and let go. As long as there's no empty magazine in it, it should release and let go. You don't need to push down on that slide lock to release the lock. Even to load the gun, you don't need to push down on that. It's just a simple pull back and let go. So that's just a little pet peeve that I have. So going back to the CZ, cool. Make sure it's clear, and you can pull back, let go. So if you wanted to, you can safely decock this gun too. Pinching the hammer, squeezing the trigger, slowly letting the hammer go. Yeah. It's pretty simple with those. Now, sometimes if you cannot lock the slide to the rear, a little tip, get an empty magazine. Make sure it's always empty. Insert it into the gun, pull back on the slide, and then it'll automatically lock back for you. Remember, you always want an empty magazine if you can't engage that slide lock by yourself. Do it the easy way. Onto the revolvers. I got this little Taurus snub nose right here. Oh, it's a little cute unit. So, point in safe direction, finger away from the trigger. Different revolvers will have different cylinder releases. This one you have to push forward on the cylinder release. So what I do, I'm right-handed. Push forward on the cylinder release, go over or under, pop out the cylinder. So I like to hold the gun in my non-dominant hand so I have positive control over the cylinder. So you'll see the cylinder is empty. You can push down on the extractor a few times just for fun. Cool. And you can just pop it back in. You never want to go in front of the barrel with your hand, over or under. A lot of people have issues pushing this forward and basically multitasking. A little tip, if you can't reach that with your thumb and push out the cylinder at the same time, you can always use one hand, engage that cylinder release, and push it out from the other side. And you can make sure it's empty. Cool. We got this shiny thing right here. What is this shiny thing? It's a revolver, right? Yeah, it's a single action revolver. What do I mean by single action? So on the single action revolver, it'll only engage when the hammer is back. These are the guns of the Old West. These are used for spinning. And these are the ones where you can hold down on the trigger, pull that hammer back multiple times to get some shots off. So if you'll notice, there's no mechanical release on the cylinder at all, not even on the other side. Cool. So how do I load and unload this? Cool. There's this trap door right here. So you flip down that trap door, then you can see the cylinder. On older revolvers like this, you need to pull back on the hammer just a little bit so you can rotate the cylinder. Make sure all the chambers are empty. So going back to the actual cylinder, I lied. You can actually take this cylinder out completely, but you can't put it in just as easily. On this, you push down on this button. What that button does, it releases this rod right here. Pushing down on that, pulling out the rod, and on newer ones, it comes completely off. Then, on the other side, you can open up the trap door, and the cylinder comes out completely. I mean, completely. It's out of there. Putting it back is sometimes a little bit complicated. You put the cylinder back in. Now you need to put the cylinder in perfectly straight and push in this guide rod. And then it's back to normal. So to extract the rounds from this single action, what you need to do is open up the trap door, line up a cylinder to this big rod right here. So same concept as the other revolver. I like to use my non-dominant hand to hold the revolver up. While doing that, I maintain positive control over the cylinder so I can turn it at my will. Lining up the cylinder to that rod, there's a little plunger extractor right here. Once that's lined up, it'll eject around from that chamber. Then you can go on to the next cylinder and extract that. Once you're done, close the trap door, do a little spin, and then you're good to go. So those are the basics to properly clean your firearm. But it could be the same concept as any other gun. Shotgun, AK. In Soviet Russia, AK clear you. That's stupid. So that pretty much sums up how to properly clear your firearms. There's multiple firearms out there. Same concept for each firearm. This is Instructor Joe, and happy shooting.